They say every empire has a heartbeat. You can feel it before the battle begins, that pulse under the ground, like the breath of something ancient waiting to see who dares disturb it. I felt it that morning. The silence before dawn, no birds, no wind, just the crackle of torches and the sound of 300 hearts beating in rhythm. We knew what was coming. They said there were 100,000 of them, Persians from every corner of the earth, men, horses, giants of war, a tide so vast it swallowed the horizon. And us? 300 Spartans, a handful of Greeks who refused to kneel. They called us mad. They were right. But madness is just courage without hope. That morning the sea was calm. The pass before Thermopylae, the hot gates, we called it, shimmered with mist. Behind us, the cliffs rose like stone gods. Before us, the narrow throat of the earth. King Leonidas stood there, his spear in the sand. He didn't speak much. He didn't need to. He just looked at us, one by one, and nodded, as if to say, "This is where we make history remember our names." And I remember thinking, not of glory but of home, of my son, still too young to lift a shield, of the sound of rain on the stone roofs of Sparta. And I thought, if the gods demanded a price, then let them take me first. The wind shifted. The smell of salt and iron filled the air. The first horns of Persia echoed through the valley, low, thunderous, endless. That's when I understood we weren't fighting to win. We were fighting to be remembered. The Persians moved like a tide of iron, thousands of shields flashing in the sun, spears like forests, banners snapping like flames. But the pass was narrow, too narrow for their numbers. Thermopylae was our fortress. The cliffs and sea conspired with us. We Spartans were raised for this, to stand when others run, to die before we kneel. They say our mothers whispered into our ears as children, "Come back with your shield, or on it." That wasn't a threat, it was a promise. We had trained for decades. The rhythm of battle burned into our bones. The spear wasn't a weapon, it was an extension of breath. Leonidas knew this. That's why he chose 300. Not because we were the strongest, but because we were the ones who understood what it meant to stand together. And so, when the first wave came, we didn't move. We waited. The sound of their march was like thunder across stone. Dust rose, the earth trembled, and when they reached the pass, we struck. The first clash was chaos. Metal screamed, men roared, spears broke, shields shattered, and through it all, Leonidas's voice, calm, sharp, unyielding. "Hold the line!" We pushed, shoulder to shoulder, each man a wall. Their numbers meant nothing here, their pride meant less. They drowned in their own arrogance, wave after wave breaking against our shields. By midday, the ground was black with blood. Our arms burned, our throats were sand, but still we stood. At night we buried the dead, ours and theirs, together, under the same stars. Because in war there's no difference between gods and men. Only silence, and the echoes of what used to be. The second day came with smoke on the horizon. The Persians had learned. They sent their Immortals, the elite guard of Xerxes, men who were said to never die. We taught them otherwise. The fighting was closer now. Shields splintering inches from our faces, swords glinting like lightning. Every strike was personal, every breath borrowed. They came in waves, and we broke them. We moved as one, a storm of red and bronze. But even storms fade. By sunset, the ground was slick. Our ranks had thinned. I looked around and saw faces I had known since childhood, gone. That night, Leonidas spoke to us by firelight. He said nothing of victory, only of legacy. "When the last of us falls," he said, "let it be facing forward." We didn't sleep that night. We sharpened blades that would break by morning. We cleaned armor that would soon be ash. And we prayed, not for mercy, but for memory. The dawn came red, like the gods had bled into the sky. That's when we saw them. A traitor leading Persian scouts through the mountain path. They had found a way behind us. We were surrounded. Leonidas looked at us and smiled. He said, "Then we fight in the shade." When the arrows fell, they turned day into night. The air was fire and iron. We fought until there was nothing left to break, no sound but breath and blood. One by one they fell, men I had called brothers, each name a spark swallowed by darkness. Leonidas fell last, spear in hand, his eyes fixed on the horizon. And in that silence after the storm, I swear, I heard the gods weep. They say I was the last to crawl from the pass, that I should have died with them. Maybe I did, because what returned from Thermopylae was not a man, but a memory. The sea took the blood, the wind took the ashes, and the mountains kept the sound. The echo of 300 voices defying eternity. They call it heroism. I call it duty. Because we didn't fight for Sparta alone. We fought to remind the world what freedom costs. Every man there knew. Our death was the message. Our silence would become thunder. Years later, when Greece rose to stand again, it was our ghosts who marched beside them. Our shields became stories, our ashes the foundation of defiance. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still hear it. The sound of bronze striking bronze, the rhythm of courage against the impossible. It wasn't numbers that stopped the Persians. It was conviction. It was the belief that even in death, we could win something greater than life. They call us legends now, but legends are just truths too heavy for the living to carry. So remember this, when the odds are impossible and the world stands against you, there's still a choice, to kneel or to stand. And if you stand, stand as they did, back to the cliff, face to the storm. Because sometimes it takes only 300 hearts to make the gods themselves remember what courage truly means. And even now, beneath the dust of centuries, you can still hear them, their shields, their roar, their silence. The 300, the men who stopped an army, not with numbers, but with will. And when the wind passes through the stones of Thermopylae, listen closely, because it still whispers their oath. This is where we stood, and this is where we'll stand again.